If you go back a couple of generations and asked me what the Pokemon anime is, I would have told you it was about Ash and Pikachu taking on gyms, visiting new regions, and meeting new Pokemon, as well as taking on the Pokemon League. After Generation 6, this format was completely flipped on its head with Pokemon Sun and Moon, which took a more slice-of-life format with more focus on story than battles, and the series would once again change with Pokemon Journeys, which advocated for more episodic story structure. Now once again, Pokemon has completely changed, as Ash and Pikachu have been retired from their roles as the protagonist, and we now enter a new era. Pokemon Horizons is the 8th Pokemon anime series in the Generation 9 anime. Unlike any series before it, this series does not follow Ash and Pikachu, and doesn't even rely on the games it's based around for its story, as Pokemon Horizons follows two entirely anime original characters, Liko and Roy, as they discover the mysteries of ancient artifacts they came into contact with, alongside the Rising Volt Tacklers, a group of Pokemon explorers led by the charismatic Pokemon Professor Freed. Pokemon Horizons seems to focus even less on battles than any series prior, instead focusing on characterization, story, and lore. I have to say, this series is a breath of fresh air, as it's something entirely unique, and unlike the previous Pokemon seasons, we can't predict what will happen, as Horizons' story is completely original. The series' first major arc, Liko and Roy Set Off, has been concluded with episode 12, so today I'd like to give my thoughts on Pokemon Horizons. Greetings, my comrades, and welcome back to Zanolith, and welcome to my review of Pokemon Horizons Part 1, Liko and Roy Set Off. Let's go! A good place to start with this series would be its characters, as there are a lot of very promising characters in this series. Let's start with our main protagonist, Liko. Liko is very different from Ash, as where Ash was extremely extroverted and rarely ever questioned himself, Liko is more reserved and constantly wonders if her actions are the right thing to do. I think her journey so far has been very well written, as her bond with Sprigatito has allowed her to become a more open individual, and has also allowed her to realize her goal of learning about the mysteries of her pendant. I think Liko is a breath of fresh air for the series, as her direct juxtaposition to Ash makes this series even more engaging for me, as I want to see where her character goes. Her story has a lot of promise that I hope evolves in future arcs. Her Pokemon Sprigatito is also a great character, as the two share many similarities, which makes them work extremely well together as a team. Now moving on to our secondary protagonist, Roy. Now Roy definitely encompasses some of Ash's traits, as he's very outgoing and speaks his mind. But he isn't a plain copy of Ash, far from it. Roy's entire character arc derives from the mysterious shiny Rayquaza that was inside a Pokeball he had since he was a kid, and wanting to learn more about this mysterious legendary. Roy is driven solely by this mystery, which allows him to fit nicely into the main cast, as Liko and the crew are focused on discovering the secrets of the pendant, and Roy's inclusion only broadened their horizons on what they can uncover. Roy's Pokemon Fuecoco is also super cute and super charming. Definitely the comic relief Pokemon of the series, a really strong Pokemon so far, and it seems like they're going to be the main battle focus for the series, and I can't wait to see how strong Fuecoco gets, and if it will evolve, and all that stuff revolving around Pokemon battling. Roy and Fuecoco definitely seem to be the battling pair for the series. Liko and Roy have already made a big impact on me after only 12 episodes, and I think they work very well as protagonists in this new era for the Pokemon anime. But now let's move on to the supporting cast of the series, the Rising Volt Tacklers. This crew is full of charming and lovable people. Let's start with the obvious one, Freed and Captain Pikachu. I've talked to many people about this character, and we're all pretty much universally agreeing that Freed is just Ash grown up. This guy is not only a certified badass, but is a great mentor figure to both Liko and Roy. His leadership role in the group also allows him to have a charm the other members of the cast don't. And whenever he battles, I'm always excited to see what he does, especially if it's with his partner, Captain Pikachu, who so far has been a badass in his own right, going toe-to-toe with many adversaries throughout the course of this first arc, and even mentoring Liko and Roy in the art of Pokemon battling alongside Freed. These two haven't gotten much focus yet, but I'm sure they will be expanded upon in future arcs. The rest of the Rising Bull Tacklers are also great. Murloc is the chef of the group and is an awesome character. I especially love the dynamic he has with Freed, as it reminds me a lot of Ash and Brock's. Orla is awesome. She's a girl who isn't afraid to get her hands dirty, and I'd argue as the mechanic, she's the backbone of the group. Molly is one of the few supporting characters which has actually gotten more focus so far. We learned she was forced to work at a Pokemon Center due to her family being a group of Pokemon doctors, and how she left them to help Pokemon in the wild, which the Pokemon Center doesn't always accommodate for. While not a big character arc, I appreciate Horizons taking the time to expand upon these characters to make me care more about them and make them feel alive, something I feel was increasingly absent during Pokemon Journeys. I'm sure as time goes on, we'll see more about Molly and the other members of the crew as well. Ludlow, while probably my least favorite member of the group so far, is very cool, as he often provides wisdom to the others in the crew. I think there's definitely more to his character we haven't seen yet, and that makes me excited. But the member of the crew that intrigues me the most is Dot, arguably the character who has gotten the most focus so far alongside Liko and Roy. Dot is an extremely reserved character, as she hasn't actually talked to any member of the crew face to face yet. She's also the popular streamer Nidothing, someone Liko heavily looks up to, and I'm excited to see her reaction when she learns that Dot and Nidothing are one and the same. Despite her reserved nature, it does seem like she truly cares about the other members of the crew, and I can't wait to see where her arc goes in the future. I fully believe that by the end of the series, Dot will be a lot more open to become close friends with both Liko and Roy. While at this point being very mysterious, the Explorers group has proved to be a fierce adversary for our main group, especially Amethio and his Cerulege. Amethio is an interesting character, as at this point I'm not entirely sure what his goal is, or why he does the things that he does. His supporting group is also quite fun and charming, and reminds me a lot of Jesse and James from Team Rocket. For most of this starting arc, Amethio served as the main antagonist, but due to his failures, him and his group have been relieved from their mission to obtain Liko's pendant. Even though he's been taken out of the equation for now, I don't believe we've seen the last of Amethio. With that, this leads me into the leader of this antagonistic faction, Gideon. There's a lot of mystery behind him, and I wonder why he so desperately wants Liko's pendant, and what his endgame is. The new villain for the upcoming arc also looks to be very cunning and strategic, as he's been researching the main group for a while now, and is ready to strike. Overall, Horizons has a great cast, having engaging main protagonists, lovable side characters, and threatening and mysterious villains. The characters are all very charming, and I can't wait to see where they go in future arcs. Now, while the characters are a fundamental part of Horizons, the story and overall plot is just as important. I think when talking about this, it's important to mention just how good the pacing has been for this series up to this point. Throughout all of these 12 episodes, there has only been one episode I've seen as kinda slow. All the other episodes were dedicated to characters, storytelling, and world building, but this is completely ineffective if the story is bad. So how is it? Well, for being Pokemon's first attempt at a completely original anime storyline, I'd say they're doing a pretty good job. Again, we're only 12 episodes in, and we've barely scratched the surface of the story, but so far it's really engaging. I especially love the mysteries of both the pendant and the ancient Pokeballs. The pendant is most certainly Terapagos, and I'm excited to see where this goes. Perhaps the Indigo Disc DLC will even give us more insight to the direction the pendant storyline is going in. It also seems like the pendant is directly related to the ancient Pokeballs and the ancient adventurer Lucius. I'm confident that the rest of this story is going to revolve around finding Lucius's other Pokemon and figuring out how it all connects back to Liko's pendant. It's all very intriguing and exciting, and I can't wait to see where this story goes. I also want to know who Gideon is and how he's connected to everything going on. I've never watched a Pokemon anime where everything was such a mystery before, and it makes the series even more engaging because of this. I also think this story has done a good job at staying consistent. Each mini-arc is no more than 3 to 4 episodes, and so far each mini-arc is focused on either Liko or Roy developing further as characters, which is always appreciated when trying to create strong protagonists. If I had to say one thing I'm kind of iffy on right now, it's just how slow some of the episodes can feel. And I'm not saying they're inherently slow, but it's just a completely subjective thing, and honestly, this isn't a bad thing at all, as most of these quote-unquote slow moments always have plot relevancy, but sometimes it just gets kind of boring. Maybe it's due to me being used to the old Pokemon formats where things move pretty fast, but it's still something I've noticed and thought I should mention. Overall, so far the story is very promising and I think it's going in a great direction. Overall, Part 1 of Horizons has delivered a new type of Pokemon anime to the point where it feels like an entirely different show. Regardless, it's still a super fun watch, and it's the first time in the last couple of years I've truly been happy with the state of the Pokemon anime. You can tell this is a passion project for the staff, as everything feels so refreshing and new, and equally as engaging. I can't wait to see how Horizons turns out, even if it slowly declines in quality. But as long as the rest of the series stays as consistent as its first part, I think we're in for a treat. And that's my review of the first 12 episodes of Pokemon Horizons. If you enjoyed this review, remember to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel, as well as turn on all notifications to never miss an upload. Also, in the comments, tell me what your thoughts are on Pokemon Horizons so far. I would love to hear them. With that being said, this video is a wrap. My name is Zanolith, and I'll catch you guys next time.